Hey everybody, everything new under the sun here. I was actually trying to do some recording with OBS, some new software that I can do green screen with, which is open source, open broadcasting software, I guess it is. Doesn't seem to be working for me, so I'm not sure about that. It is free, which is nice. But I want to bring you a story from Zero Hedge here. I'll be doing my regular Sunday update, a little bit longer, in depth about the news that's happening. But I want to take a look at Venezuela and 720% hyperinflation. And I think it's key to realize that these things may come to us. You know, if you're a Western citizen, if you're living in the U.S. or Canada, you may not think these things could ever possibly happen, but I mean, I think they thought that before 1929 happened and the Great Depression happened. They didn't necessarily see it coming. Well, they should have saw it coming, especially people on Wall Street. But most of them probably did not see it coming. They thought, no, it could never happen. That could never happen. How could the stock market bring down all of society in such a horrendous way? But I think we're seeing it in countries like Venezuela and Greece and Portugal and Italy. And all these countries are having real trouble, and it's only going to get worse. And I think it's inevitable that it comes here. You know, it is possible that it may not come here, but I think we need to look at these as good examples and say, what would I do if this occurred here? How would I survive? You know, for one thing, how would I feed my family? What would I do if I lost my job? So let's take a look at this. This is from Zero Hedge. This is what the death of a nation looks like. Venezuela prepares for 720% deflation. So, deflation, hyperinflation. For citizens of Maduro's socialist paradise, the news is terrible and getting worse with every passing day. Yesterday we reported that 1 year after November 24th 2014 forecast, Barclays has decided that Venezuela is now past the point of no return. And a bankruptcy in 2016 will be difficult to avoid. So the whole country of Venezuela is going to go bankrupt. They are already. They're just living off fumes right now. But while some may have thought that this dramatic impact, while welcomed by the rest of OPEC and oil bulls around the globe, would only impact the government, the reality is that this latest hit means a total disintegration of the economy and will take the country's already staggering hyperinflation to previously unprecedented levels. According to the latest IMF estimate, Venezuela's consumer inflation, already the world's highest, will triple this year to a level above all estimates from economists surveyed by Bloomberg. So this is the point at which you take a wheelbarrow of cash and you hope to buy with that maybe a loaf of bread or something. And the Bible does speak of a time when there is hyperinflation. Let me find that real quick. I'll be right back. So yes, this is one of the seals in Revelation 6. We'll start at verse, where was it? Verse 5 here. When the Lamb opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a black horse. Its rider was holding a pair of scales in his hand. Then I heard what sounded like a voice among the four living creatures saying, 2 pounds of wheat for a day's wages, and 6 pounds of barley for a day's wages, and do not damage the oil and the wine. So there is a time coming when your daily food, it will be all you can make in the day just to pay for food, let alone your rent, your heating, whatever else you've got going on. And the Bible speaks of the time, in the time of the third seal here, where just for 2 pounds of wheat, if you don't know what wheat is, that's flour, makes your bread basically. 2 pounds of flour, and actually I feed a whole grain wheat to my chickens, so 2 pounds of wheat for a whole day's wages is not a lot at all. You can make a couple of loaves of bread with that, and that is it. And that's what hyperinflation does effectively. Your money buys less and less. And it's a confidence thing. When the confidence goes down, people say, well, the currency is hyperinflating, so I'm not just going to take $5 for my goods. I'm going to require 10 because it's going to be worth less as soon as I get it. To follow up here, this is because the IMF, which until recently had predicted only 204% inflation for Venezuela, already higher than the 140% consensus, revised its numbers and now sees a mind-blowing 750% hyperinflation by 2016. And really, it's infinite until everything completely crashes and nobody accepts dollars anymore. Whatever dollar you have, a Venezuelan dollar or a Canadian dollar or a U.S. dollar, it just hyperinflates to the point where it's worthless. It's not worth the paper it's printed on, as they say. The board reports that inflation will surge to 720% in 2016 from 275% last year. So just think if the Canadian dollar hyperinflated that much, where it would require 7 times the number of Canadian dollars to buy the same item. So if you bought a loaf of bread for $10, that same loaf of bread would be $70, and that's what we're talking about here. Now, obviously, a loaf of bread isn't $10, but say if you bought 3 loaves of bread or something like that, that would be $70, and that would be insane, and you would have a hard time feeding your family, let alone, like I say, paying for gas in your car, heating, electricity, whatever. Venezuela's central bank published economic statistics January 15th for the first time in a year, confirming that inflation had reached triple digits. And here's a chart here that you can see the inflation rate. 2015 was 275, and then you see it just skyrocket to 720% for this year, 2016. And this is going to be bad for obviously the rest of the world as well. There's a lot of people saying this is it. This is the year it's going to come down, and we've already had the worst start to the markets, since just after the crash of 1929. Spiking prices and widespread shortages for even staples have driven discontent in Venezuela that helped spur the opposition to gain control of Congress. A lack of hard currency led to the scarcity of intermediate goods and to widespread shortages of essential goods. Because what people do is when they realize their money is hyperinflating, when if you have $10 now and it's going to be worth effectively $3 tomorrow, then you go out and buy whatever you can, whatever asset, whatever food. You spend all your money right away and get something for it, and that's panic buying. And all of a sudden, the store shelves are empty, and then it's even more expensive to buy whatever is left, because then the owners say, I only have this left, so I'm going to ask more for it. And that's, it's a vicious cycle, obviously. So it's getting really bad in Venezuela, and this is an example of potentially what could come to Canada or any other Western country, and I think it very potentially will, unless they say, the economy is getting really bad, and they say we have to go to cashless society, one world currency, one world government right now, otherwise you're all going to starve. And they may preempt a massive depressionary crash by pushing us right into a one world government situation, which is completely prophetic. Or we might see a bit of a Mad Max scenario where it does get a little crazy. So you need to prepare, and you need to just be aware of what's happening, and be a prepper. I mean, I think that's a very biblical thing to be a prepper, by which I mean be wise, be good steward of what you have for resources, and prepare for things like this. If you see a storm coming, you get prepared. You board up your windows, and you buy a little extra food. You get your storm chips if you're in Maritimes, and you just do things to prepare. And God gives us brains, and so we should see these things coming, even if the Lord doesn't come back for 20 years. The economy here is going to need to switch over to a new monetary system shortly. Fiat currencies only last about 40 years, and we're past that already. So we're looking for some kind of a switch over, a crash, and there's going to be some chaos before it's completely switched over to whatever new system the governments, all decide to do, the world governments decide to do. Are we going to move into one world government? I don't know. Could the central banks do something, pull a rabbit out of a hat, and turn it around so that we aren't in such a bad position? They could, but the more debt that's piled on top, the less likely a controlled collapse is going to happen. Less likely it's going to happen, that they're actually going to be able to manage it and so you're going to see a lot of people starving. And if a lot of people are starving, you're going to see chaos in the streets. You're going to see stealing, plundering, pillaging. You're going to see gangs walking around with guns, probably. Gangs in Venezuela, and even Greece. If people are hungry, they're going to do these things. They're going to group up together with weapons and go get food because they're starving. So this very potentially could happen. This could be directly in our future. We're seeing it now, and so you need to be aware that it's very possible this could occur. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I'm going to do my regular update tomorrow, more in depth, obviously, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. But I want to bring this one to your attention. Like I say, it's a good idea to recognize what other countries are going through right now. We don't feel it in Canada and the U.S., and to us it means nothing. But when it hits the fan, as they say, when things actually start going down, you won't have time to prepare. You need to prepare beforehand, and the economy is getting real bad. So watch out, and I'll leave it there. See you in the next video.